Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I'm your host, Ben Cross, and I am so blessed and honored to be here with my good friend, Dano McCoy, Vice President, Lytle's Transfer. Dano, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. Just trying to stay warm like everybody else.
Yeah, man. Where in the world are you right now staying warm?
I'm right here in Atlanta. We're about 55 degrees. I guess that's cold.
Dude, Atlanta 55. Dude, my pipes are frozen. I got a hair dryer on my cold water pipe under my sink right now in the other room because my pipes are literally frozen. It's 12 degrees here in Dallas, and we have 5 inches of snow on the ground. And you're talking about 55 degrees. It's cold right now, man.
You went from Detroit to Dallas, right?
I went to Detroit. I went from the D to the big D,
to the big D.
And somehow it's colder here than it was there.
Wow.
Go figure, man.
Oh, careful what you asked for.
Seriously, man. But I'm blessed, though, dude. I'm so blessed, man. And happy to be here with you. And hey, if you're watching right now, we're blessed to have you as well. So go ahead and throw some in the comments. Let me know who you are, where you are, what you're doing right now. Hit that like button. Throw a little love out to Dano in Atlanta. Let me know what's up here. We got Timmy checking in. Tim's super producer Tim today. Hey, Dano, Ben, can't wait for the show from a wintry, Western New York. What's wintry up in Western New York, man? Show us how it's done. Got that lake effect. Got that Lake Erie snow up there. Yeah, when was the last time, Dano? Let me ask you something, man, because you're a beautiful man. You got your haberdashery on. When was the last time you handled a snow shovel?
Wow.
I know, right?
This was Love and Reload, man.
This is Snow and Reload here. When was the last time?
25 years, man.
Man, dude.
Well, I used to be from Alaska, bro. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
From Alaska?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Tell me, Alaska. How'd you end up in Alaska?
Well, my parents retired from the military, and they went up there for some opportunities. And I was living in D.C., and I went up and visited a couple of times. The next thing you know, I said, you know what? There's a lot of opportunity up here, and I got a job with ARCO, and so I moved to Alaska and stayed up there for 5 years.
Tell me more about this. I'm fast. I've been to Alaska once. Okay. I'll be honest. When I touched down in Anchorage, I didn't look around and say, there's a lot of opportunity up here. So what did you see that I didn't see, man?
Well, the oil industry is real big up there. And, I befriended some people through my father, and I got a job with ARCO as a material management specialist. And that's what happened. So I stayed for 5 years. I knew I wasn't going to stay forever because it was too cold, but, the money was good and it was a new opportunity. And so we worked it.
What were you doing in the oil and gas? And we're going to get to all you people that are chiming in right now. Keep leaving those comments. Hit that like button. Let me know your questions for Dano. We can ask Dano anything. We got him for 30 minutes. We got a short show today. He's got stuff going on. We'll touch on that. Leave your comments in there. But let me ask you, what were you doing in oil and gas, man? Were you out on the rig, dude? Were you pumping wells? Like, were you?
Well, unfortunately, I work downtown. Okay, so I worked out for ARCO at corporate headquarters. Mm-hmm. I was a materials management specialist, so the engineers or production managers would order supplies, and my job was to make sure those requisitions were filled.
Wait, time out. You were in purchasing?
Yeah.
So now the shoe is on the other foot. How do you feel when these purchasing people give you the runaround, Dano?
I feel like it's payback. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. My dad always says you pay for your raisin, man.
Right.
He says
right.
You're paying for your raisin. That's it, man.
Right.
This is great. We got people chiming in here, man. Let's see who's coming in and checking in with us. Janet saying hello. Pocket Square's in the house.
Okay, Janet. Thank you.
Janet recognizes a sharp dressed man there.
Wow. Thank you, Janet. Good to see you.
Dano, do you remember? I got to tell you something, Dano. You've touched me in a lot of ways. You gave me a pocket square in Atlanta one time.
Right.
That triggered a series of blessings. And I didn't know this at the time, but you're actually known for giving pocket squares to people. How did you start doing that? When did that become a thing for you?
Well, you just try to find something. The best gift is giving and receiving, man. And I just like Mike McGill back in the day walked up to me in Atlanta and he complimented me on my pocket square. And so from then on, every time we go to ERC, we exchange pocket squares. Okay. And then Joe Dusek over at Quicken Loans, I gave him one. And so I can't count the number of people that I've given pocket squares to. So it's just we got this little thing we call the Pocket Square Club, and we just exchange pocket squares. So it's just a way of giving back. And
Dude, that's so awesome, man.
Yeah, so I was happy to be able to, when you asked about mine, I had one in my pocket I was going to give to someone else, and I gave it to you.
So I was this was at the Marriott Marquis at Worldwide ERC. We're in the lobby. Dano saying you know, maybe you said you look nice. I said you look nice. I didn't have I said maybe I just said I didn't have a square. And you said, hold up, brother, I got you. And you pulled it out.
Right.
And I wore it, and I have it still. And then I had a pen. So my thing is ink pens. My thing is fountain pens.
Right.
And they're not like super. I'm not talking Mont Blanc. I'm just talking about like a nice, well-made fountain pen.
Yes.
And Rolonzo Killebrew was standing there with us. He came up to us afterwards, after you gave me that square.
Right.
And he said, "Is that a fountain pen?" He said, "My dad used to carry a fountain pen."
Wow. Yeah.
And I said, "You know what, brother? Here."
Right.
I gave him the fountain pen.
Right. I remember.
You know, and like blessings trigger blessings like that, you know, and like we don't even know the ripple effect of the things that we do for people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when you pull up to the gas, you know, pull up to the Starbucks and you buy the coffee for the person behind you, and they buy the coffee, and then they buy the coffee.
Yeah.
You know, or the groceries. I mean, life is like that, right?
Man, it's all about giving, man. You know what I mean? Like you said, you had a question last week about what you get in return, and you get more bees with honey, you know?
Yeah.
So it's all about giving.
So awesome. Amy Jacobs checking in. Hi, Ben and Dano from Big Frozen D. Yep. That's where we're at, Amy. That is where we are at indeed. Erica Burton. Hello.
Hey, what's up?
What up? What up, Erica? Matt Shea. Good dude.
How you doing, buddy?
Hosea Botley. Oh no, not Dano.
Yes, sir. You can't have all the shine.
Our good friend Hosea checking in. Victoria McCullough. Hi, Ben and Dano. Ben, did you bring this cold weather? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I apologize. I brought the cold weather, and I brought 2 snow shovels. Nobody else on my block had a snow shovel. My realtor laughed at me when I moved in. Then he called me today, and he was, I shouldn't have laughed at you.
Wow.
Alan King. Hey, Ben and Dan, checking in from Germany. The snow is gone today. Erica.
Entschuldigen bitte.
What was that now? What did you say? Did you cussing?
I graduated high school in Germany.
Okay, tell me your story, man. So we're gonna get into some relo stuff, man. But tell me your story, Dano. How did you start out, and then how did you end up here?
Well, you know, it's almost, and I don't want to sound cliche-ish, but it was kind of like destiny. Okay, my dad was military for 26 years, so I'm a military brat. I moved every 3 years. Graduated from high school in Germany. Sprechen Sie kleine bisschen Deutsch? Verstehen Herr Cross? 9?
No, 9 right. Indeed. 9, 10, 11.
So the Bleistift is off them tish. I just said the pen is on the table, okay? And so I'm a military brat, so I moved all my life, okay? And so then moving forward, had a couple of jobs, got out the military myself, did 4 years, but I was a transportation movement specialist in the Army, okay? So I moved, and then I got trained in the military as a transportation movement specialist where I shipped military personnel around. I used to work for the Joint Personal Property Shipping Office. And so
the Gypso in Germany.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Sure.
So I kind of almost like destiny that I would wind up going through a series of jobs that I would wind up in the relocation industry. So, but I think it's an asset because it gives me not only empathy, it gives me compassion too, because I've been there, done that, moved all my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
100%. I agree with you on that.
Right.
I agree with you on that because, you know, movers ask me all the time, we're both in the moving business, and movers always ask, you know, you've been on the truck, you ever been a mover, you know, for a living?
Right.
I said, no, but I've been a transferee a lot of times.
Yeah.
I've relocated like 14 times.
Okay.
You know, and so like I every time I forget to be empathetic, God moves me. And then I find myself being empathetic. Yeah.
Well, the thing is that, you know, when I'm dealing with HR or dealing with a traffic manager, I understand what goes into the stress, because moving is just up there with death and divorce. It's one of the most stressful times in a person's life. Even if they want to move, there's just things that go down that they're going to be stressed out about. New environment, new school, getting the kid the shots, getting the dog his vaccine, whatever. So I remember my mom going through all that. My dad was deployed, And so I understand that part of it. And then being the transportation part in the military, I understand the logistics. So I try to bring both of those together.
It's funny because we all heard that, death, divorce, moving, top 3 most stressful. We all repeat this stat all the time. But it's one thing to handle moves. You probably handle thousands of moves a year. It's another thing like when it's your stuff on the truck, when it's you and your wife's bed, or when it's your family heirloom or your kid's favorite toy or whatever. Like it's like a different level of engagement for sure. I highly recommend relocate. And the irony is, on a side note, there's a saying also, relocation doesn't relocate. So all these jobs that are posted and everything, they're all not including a relocation package. So it's kind of like the irony that we're not actually eating our own dog food here. We're not actually trying our own product out. It's kind of interesting.
Absolutely. But
so Dano, we got a few people checking in here. I just want to get some quick shout outs here, and then I want to get a couple questions I got for you. I know I don't have a ton of time here. Elena checking in. Great to see
Elena,
you.
how you doing? Good to see you.
Yep. William Wiggins.
What's up, Wig?
Says you were one of his show recommendations. Yep, he definitely plugged you. Allison McDaniel.
Okay.
Lisa Ross.
All right.
Evan says Dano is the man, loving the squares, guys. I remember the Atlanta Pocket Square Blessings evening.
What's up, Evan? Oh, your phone call.
For sure. Dick Scaffa checking in.
Oh, what's up, Dick?
William says Dano's one of the sharpest dressers in the industry, always dressed on point. Why do you feel that that's important? That's something that people say about me too, but why do you feel that that's important, Dano?
First impression is a lasting impression. It sounds like, people say it all the time, but it's all about you walking in somebody's space. You know what I'm saying? So you just want to look presentable. You don't have to overdo it, but just want to look nice. I just like dressing. I guess I got it from my mom, but I just like, looking good and being approachable. You know what I mean? And everybody loves a winner. So
yeah,
I just dress. Huh?
I agree. It's like one of those things. It's like within your control that morning, right? Like you can't grow a bunch of hair, if you're missing some. You can't, lose 50 pounds when you roll out of bed. But you could throw on something nice, Give yourself the benefit of the doubt, kind of.
Yeah, and then we're in sales, so I think it's important. I mean, if you're in a very professional industry, you know what I mean? And so you're not really driving a truck or packing boxes. I mean, you're coming out, presenting yourself and representing your company. So at the end of the day, you're selling trust and respect. You want to look good.
I agree. And you've always been you always presented yourself tremendously. And I've always looked up to you, Dano, because I always thought you had
I appreciate that.
An amazing amount of success. You're one of those guys that kind of, as a young sales guy in the business, I say young, 38, 9, as young as I used to be, right? I got some of these gray whiskers here too, now. But what do you attribute your success to?
Man, I stand on the shoulders of a lot of people in the industry that saw a talent in me when I first got in the industry. And I knew the military background, but selling to GSA and corporate America is a whole nother profession. And so people like Bob Kelly from New World, when I was younger, back in the day, we worked for a different van line and we were together, and he used to take me under his wing. He said, man, I see something in you and I'm just going to sharpen you up. You know what I mean? They say iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
So he just kind of took me under his wing. I got to give a lot to Bob Kelly. Got to give a lot to a guy named Willie McCurdy back in the day with the Department of Interior. He said, you don't know anything about this industry. And he just pulled me in and just started telling me, how to approach people and what the business wants. And what the business wants, sell yourself and sell service. If you sell those two things, you'll be okay. And so once I started selling myself and selling service, it just went to another level.
What do you mean by selling yourself, though? Because I think that's such an interesting. I remember there was a guy when I was in 7th grade who told me never sell myself short. I didn't understand what that meant. I said, why would I ever sell myself? I didn't quite grasp onto that until I was much older. Jack Jampel also would always say that to me and say, you're the differentiator. But what do you mean when you say sell yourself? What does that mean for you, and how do you do that?
You got to sell your credibility. Okay. you got to sell your trust. You know, this is a business where they can't see the end result until the crew gets there. So you got to be able to paint a picture on the canvas of a person's mind who's talking to you that everything is going to be okay. Because like you said, you're entrusting either the employee or the person goods to you for an extended period of time, and you're hoping that it comes back the same way that you left it. And so that you gave it. And so It's all about selling trust. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, when you violate that trust, it's a wrap. You know what I mean?
How do you instill that, though? I think this is something that's like, so we go to these conferences, right? We meet up at the bar at a session or in passing in a hallway or whatever. How do we build that trust or instill that in a brief encounter with somebody? I mean, this is kind of for the maybe the young salespeople out there. I know there's a lot of biz dev people out here. How do we instill that in that moment, like in that short window that we have?
Well, you don't talk about things you don't know. You know what I mean? You got to talk about.
What are you talking about? This whole show is to me talking about things I don't know anything about.
You know, because people can see through that. You know, I mean, they've been in the industry for a long time, but they still got to find someone, because most of these HR people and traffic managers wear more than one hat. You know what I mean? And you can even make them look good or you can make them look bad. That's right. And so they're trusting you to be who you say you are and what you bring to the table. You know, and you got one time to make a first impression. And so you don't want the hardest part about sales is crossing the borderline between being aggressive and obnoxious. Okay, right?
Yeah, that is 100%, because that's what gives salespeople a bad rap is the overly pushy, right? So how do you toe that line? I mean, what is that line? Because I worry about that sometimes too.
Well, one thing, when I first got my first sales job at Pitney Bowes, I used to work for Pitney Bowes, and I was one of the top sales reps in the nation. But when the guy hired me, he said, "Is there any questions?" And I said, "You know what? I want this job, but man, I really don't like salespeople." He said, "What?" I said, "I don't like salespeople, man. They're so pushy." He said, "Who do you like?" I said, "Well, I like the kind of guy when you walk in the store, they say, 'Hey, my name is Ben. You know, can I help you?' And you say, 'Well, I'm just kind of looking, whatever.' And say, 'Well, listen, we got a lot of things on sale. I'll be right over here. If you need any help, I'm here.' Right? Well, I don't want the guy girl that comes to me and says, I said, 'I'm just looking.' 'Well, you know, we got TVs on sale. We got hamburgers over here. We got socks.' You know, they're not, I mean, it's too much." And he said, "So which person do you like?" I said, "The one I just described, exhibit A." He said, "Well, be that guy." And that was like, be that person that you want to be.
But I'm gonna push back on this just a minute, right?
Okay.
Because you come in there and you kind of soft sell it, and you say, you know, "Hey, my name is Ben. I'll be over here if you need me."
No. I'm saying in that specific situation. But if you're on a car lot, you're either a suspect or a prospect. Okay. So I'm trying to find out if you got a FICO score that's worth me talking to you. Okay. So it's a whole different presentation. But I'm just saying you don't want to cross that line of being obnoxious and too aggressive.
You mentioned, I'm gonna switch up real quick because I know we don't have a ton of time, because you got a big day today.
Yeah.
What do you want to tell people? Tell people what you're up to today.
Well, fortunately, I get my second vaccine today. Right?
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
And
then how does that feel? How does that feel, real quick though? How does that feel knowing you're gonna have your second vaccine today?
Well, it just, it makes me more comfortable that I've got the vaccine. And
do you feel like you can move in different ways now?
I can move a little bit.
You feel like Superman a little bit?
Well, a little bit of Superman, but making sure that I still keep my social distance, still mask up. But the chances of me getting a severe case of COVID-19 and spreading it just makes me feel a little bit more confident. And then I got a flight at 8:45. I got to go to Vegas. My mom's going to be 86 years old tomorrow. She doesn't know I'm coming, so I'm just flying into the house.
Don't tell anybody. Don't tell Dano's mom he's coming.
Yeah, so I'm flying in to see her and hang out for about a week.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Son, dude. That's cool.
Yeah.
Going back to something you mentioned before, you called out a couple people. Called out a couple people who helped you.
Bob Kelly.
And mentored you, back in the day.
Yeah.
We're taking the month of February really to spotlight Black professionals in the global mobility industry.
I'm not Black.
Well, that's our show, people.
Both my parents are.
We're making space.
Both my parents are. Okay.
We're making space though for these stories, right? And
right.
and we, I remember having a DE&I conversation months ago, and it's it's one thing to have hiring practices that are equitable and be in places and make it accessible, make opportunities accessible. It's another thing, once people get in the organization, to mentor them and to create opportunities for people to create access to opportunity so that people can excel if they want to, right? If they're so inclined, and to level the playing field in a way. And I see mentorship being something that's so critical to the development of all professionals, right? Right. And it might be, and I could definitely see how it would be a little more challenging when maybe you don't look like everybody else in the room. So how do we create mentorship opportunities for young Black professionals in business in general, in our businesses, but in business in general, so that we can create that access to opportunity? What do those look like?
Well, the thing is that, I always tell people, I'm not an exception to the rule. It says I don't suffer from a lack of talent. I suffer from a lack of opportunity. And so these people, young people, have to be brought in, and they're like sponges. They absorb their environment. And so if you put them in the right environment, they can, be whatever they need to be and be creative. But we just need to, even at these conferences, just to have a little bit more sessions on diversity, and don't talk about it, but be about it. You know what I mean?
I think that's so interesting. You say don't talk about it, be about it. And I applaud. I'm going to call out Susan Benavides from Plus. She was one of the first people that I heard actually coming out and saying something similar and saying, we need to go beyond lip service and actually go into actually doing things about DE&I. And I feel like there's a lot of lip service. I feel like there's a lot of positive intent, but I'm concerned that it's not translating to actions. Right.
A lot of ceremonial stuff. You know what I mean? A lot of banners and whistles and things like that. But at the end of the day,
a lot of posts on LinkedIn, and a lot of memes, and a lot of What do we do though, man? How do we get past that?
Yeah, well, we got to reach out to some of the. I heard someone talk. I think it was Erica was talking about. You guys brought this topic up last time when she was on. You got to get to these HBCU colleges and set up booths at some of these minority conferences and just reach out. Because people are shocked when I tell them what I do. Young folks, so what do you do, Mr. McCoy? I see you look successful, and I say I'm in the relocation business. And so you drive a truck? I said, no, I don't drive a truck. You pack boxes? No, I don't pack boxes. I travel around the country, and I talk to HR people, and I relocate people. I move them. I'm on the corporate side, and they're like blown away. But when I go to the conference, I don't see a whole lot of me either.
Yeah, Dano, it's skipping. Oh wait, it's me. Is it me?
Yeah, you're buffering a little bit. You're buffering just a little bit.
Somebody must have been nuking a hot pocket or something over there. No, but I agree with you. I mean, I think this job is like the coolest job. I say this is like the coolest job next to being an athlete or an entertainer. Because we get to travel all over. I mean, we were talking about like the first time we met, and it was like in the Hard Rock or something in Atlanta, and it's an open bar party, and there's a band, and there's all these really smart people who are inquisitive and cultured and well-traveled, and like, you know what I mean? It's just like, how did I end up in this really cool party with all these really cool people and everything's free?
It's like, awesome.
That's awesome, right? And and then I get to go stay at a 5-star hotel for 5 days and travel to all these super cool cities, right? And then people give me like teddy bears when I stop by and see them at their booth. Like it's like this is kind of a charmed life, actually,
It's one of the best jobs in the industry, man. I mean, I love what I do. I love what I do. You know what I mean? It's like chewing gum. You know what I mean? It's good.
So I mean, I think that there's a real opportunity to show young people about this industry and say, hey, you want this kind of lifestyle, you want to, this is a really cool career, and I would love to tell that story, I'd love to tell that story more.
Well, like I said, you know, you got to reach out to, you got to go where the people at. Okay. So if they're at the HBCUs or at the minority conferences, you know, set up a booth and, you know, talk about relocation. You know, you'll be shocked at all the talent that's out there.
Yeah, I want to ask you, we're talking about young people, and you know, it seems like there's been a lot of people that have poured themselves into you. And you said before, you stand on the shoulders of a lot of people.
A lot of people.
I love that. I love that. I think we always have to remember that, right?
Yeah.
What was some of the advice you got early in your career that's been influential to you? What are some of the things maybe that stuck with you that somebody told you once upon a time that kind of stuck with you and maybe influenced the way that you move or you do business?
Well, you know, one thing, Lidle just got the accountability award from American Relocation Connection through Bill Holly. And so I learned at an early age with a military father and then people that mentored me in the industry is to be accountable. To be accountable. And that's taken me a long way. You know what I mean? And, you know, we have, this business is crazy. I mean, everything's going good one day and then, you know, there's a situation and you want to run and hide. You know what I mean, Ben? And then you have to be accountable. You know what I mean? And then it's not
every day. And the more successful you are, the more moments are going to present themselves that you want to run and hide from. You know, oh, you got 100 moves. Okay, you're going to want to run and hide on 10 of them. You got 1,000 moves, you're going to want to run and hide on 100 of them, okay? So the more successful you get, the more running and hiding you're trying to be.
Right. You know what I mean? And I've always, you know, there's been situations, but most of them is not as bad as you think they are once you get involved. You can't hide. You know what I mean? Because it'll fester.
So do you get your hands dirty with some of these escalations and things like that?
I have to, man. I have to, because I'm good at what I do, okay? So I always try to turn lemon into lemonade. You know what I mean? If I can just, I used to do 30-80s. I used to call the shipper after a bad 30-80. Okay, you had like 7 days or whatever to talk to the shipper, and you always find out there was just one situation in the process of that move they got a bad 30-80. And if you correct that situation, your 30-80 would turn out to be much better.
The 30-80 was the quality score survey?
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm just saying 30-80, but yeah, the quality.
No, yeah, the government.
And they say, well, this guy was, I told him not to do this and he did this. So what about the driver? Oh, the driver was great. Or what about the other crew members? Oh, they were awesome. What about destination delivery? Oh, it was awesome. But
what about your coordinator? Yeah.
Right.
What about your estimator?
Right. And so you get 3s when it should have been 5s because it's one guy. And then once you deal with the one guy and tell him, hey, I'm going to deal with that, they're like, okay, I just wanted to send a message. So the 30-80 wasn't really the example of what it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so turning lemon into lemonade is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And so it's a gift.
We got people checking in here. This is awesome. Jack Jampel checking in. Hey, Dano, hotter than fire, cooler than ice.
Hey, you know why he says that, right?
No, why does he say that?
I told him that at a conference, and I think we were in Nashville, and I told him, he reminded me of that, hotter than fire, cooler than ice, and I sent him a T-shirt in the mail, so he wears it now.
Jack, is that where you get all these crazy clothes from? Jack's got like $1, like a $100 bill jacket. He's got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I gave him that T-shirt that says hotter than fire, cooler than ice.
That's what's up.
That's another thing about giving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, seriously, that's awesome. That's something I want to do more of. Actually, I want to give more. Actually, I want to really make a point of actually, because I always intend to do it, but I never actually like sit down and write the card. I never actually buy the gift. I never actually do the thing. You know, that's something that I really want to focus on for this year.
You know, you're sowing a seed is basically what you're doing. You know, you're just sowing a seed of goodness and kindness, and you don't know what it does to a person's day. Because most people, not most people, you know, a lot of people are takers. You know what I'm saying? And so people get taken all the time. So you know, even if you try to give somebody something, like, why are you giving me this? You know,
how do you stay out of the taker mentality though? Because you're right, a lot of people are takers. In fact, you know, when Janet and I, you know, were doing the show together, you know, early on, you know, we'd have guests. Some guests would be takers. You know, we talked about that. Like some people are givers, some people are takers. You know, how do you? It as a salesperson, it can be easy to fall into that trap. And sometimes our bosses even manage us into that paradigm because they're like, okay, well, all this volunteer work is great, Dano, but what's that going to do for you? What's that going to? Are you going to book any business, or are you just going to go on Love and Relo all day and talk to Ben? You know, one guy told me that it's not enough to have a good personality in this business. You got to actually close. I'm like, man. So there's a lot of people out there that are trying to infuse taker syndrome into other people. How do you stay out of that and stay like,
well, you know,
an abundance place?
My thing is that you got to close to stay in this business. You got to get business, but a taker mentality means like they take and they don't give anything in return. You know what I mean? When I'm closing business, what the person is getting in return is, like I said, service and trust. And so I ask for the business, but in return, I want them to feel good about giving me the business. It's one thing to get it. Can you keep it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So my thing is being more of a giver and isolate myself from being a taker, because I want to stay in the game. You could take all day long. You know what I mean? And you're going to run out.
Eventually. Yeah, you will run out.
Right.
It never runs out when you give, though.
When you give. So I always make sure that it's a fair exchange.
Yeah, that's great. Johanna Reynolds, greetings from Charlotte. Kristen McLaughlin, hi, Dano and Ben. That's
hey,
a lovely
Kristen.
picture of your daughter there, Kristen, by the way. Annabelle, corporate side, help us solve a problem. Sometimes that problem is something we are not aware of. Don't sell us, solve problems for us. You know what's interesting, Annabelle? Absolutely. I want to ask you, though, because, like, how often you go in and you see a client and you know they got a problem? You can see the problem, but they're not aware of the problem. And then you're in a position of trying to convince them that they have a problem, which is sometimes a really precarious position to be in. You ever have that situation?
Well, here's the deal. Let me give you a situation. And I said kind of jokingly, but I used to have a Hoover vacuum cleaner, right? So this guy was trying to sell me Central Vac. I didn't know what Central Vac was. I thought my Hoover was the state of the art. Dragging it around the house. He says, let me just show you what I'm talking about. Man, just plug it into the wall in every room and vacuuming. So just be able to get a little bit of time to explain the benefits, because the benefits always outweigh the cost when you're doing the right thing. And so that's my approach. So you don't know everything. And so that's what happened to me. And I'm like, I'm willing to learn. So you got to bring something cognitive to the table.
Yeah, I love it. And I guess I would say to the corporate folks, take time to meet with salespeople. I know we get a bad rap. Shout out to Jack Jampel, who does this amazingly. Vinny Valverde does this amazingly. Some people always make time for people, and I appreciate y'all. And I know sometimes it doesn't work out, just like every relationship in life.
Right.
But we appreciate that, because sometimes we can't help y'all solve a problem. So Annabelle, thank you so much for offering that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Josh Lane, be honest. I've booked more work by being honest.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, Josh, be honest. And also, like, don't be desperate. Like, be like, hey, here's the deal. Here's what I think. Here's how I think I can help you. Here's how I probably can't add any value. Right. And I walk away from twice as much business as I go after.
Absolutely.
And don't try to go after stuff that ain't right. If it don't fit, it ain't it,
Right.
Keep it moving. Alan King, shouting out Lisa here. Speaking of Nashville, Robert Brazella, hello from snowy Nashville. Love the mentorship stories.
Hey, Robert.
What's up, Robert? Jeff Barber, what's up, Dano?
What's up, Jeff?
Paul Salmon says Dano attributes the success to me.
Me and Paul ran into each other. The first time we met each other was in Chicago. We were much younger, and we kept staring at each other. You know what I mean? And then we finally approached you and said, "What are you doing here?" So we laugh about that situation.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's been in the business for a long time. Great guy.
That's what's up. Hey, Paul. Carl Weaver agreed. Appearance is super important. Look sharp. Make more sales. Dress like a bum, and you get fewer sales. It isn't everything, but it helps. Let me ask you, Dano. You ever feel like you ever suffer from being overdressed? People always tell me I'm overdressed. You ever think it hurts you?
When you're doing calls, you want to make sure that you mirror yourself after the client that you're talking to. You understand? I remember once I was selling. I'll make it real brief. I was selling a mail machine, a weight this guy did dog food and he shipped it, right? And so he came in and bought like a $40,000 scale. So I tried to sell this guy. I said, why don't you lease it? You know what I mean? He says, no, I want to pay cash. So I went in and told my boss that this guy's out here. And he's like, he said, don't judge a book by its cover. And so this guy wrote the check, got his scale. He that was his thing. You know what I mean? Dog food. And so you don't want to overdo it, but you want to mirror yourself after the customer that you're dealing with. So I wouldn't, if I'm in, I won't name it, but if it depends on where I'm going, I mean, I might tone it down. You know, I don't go to conferences, you know, all knotted up all the time. I mean, it's business casual. So I'm not going to go in there with a tux on and tie and stand out like a peacock. You know what I'm saying?
Didn't know I wasn't supposed to do that. This reminds me of the time I went down to San Antonio. I was trying to go buy a company for my last company, or 2 companies ago. I was trying to go buy some scat codes, some military scat codes. Yeah. And there was this guy down there who owned like a ranch, a rodeo, 6 moving companies, and whatever. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And talk about a don't judge a book by its cover kind of guy.
Right.
Wore Wranglers, cowboy boots, trucker hat, T-shirt, pack of smokes in the breast pocket. Like that was his, you know. Yeah. And my buddy, one of my mentors, told me, he said, go down there, ask for Charlie, tell him you'll meet him at the VFW. Go down to VFW. I hung out at that VFW bar for 3 days, drinking Miller Lights.
Right.
I wore my jeans, I wore my boots, I wore my Helotes Country Club camouflage snapback hat.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I tell you what, after 3 days, we were ready to do a deal.
Right. Right.
And what's funny is I had the deal done and wrapped up. The guy was going to sell me the company, right?
Right.
My bosses come in, the CEO and the senior vice president come in from DC wearing suits and shoes.
Wow.
Come into their office, sit on the couch. His son's over there picking out head of cattle on the internet. And they start doing this deal, and he starts talking about how much money they have. And the boss starts talking about how much money they have and how much, you know, investment capital they have, and then and how well capitalized they are. And it's like, okay, well, you know, pay me $1 million for the company and it's yours. And they would want to get it for like $300,000. $1 million, you know, that's too much. And he's like, well, you came in here wearing your suit and your shiny shoes, talking about how much money you got,
right?
You know, so it's not nothing for, you know. And so anyway, so the deal fell apart because my bosses didn't mirror.
You didn't mirror yourself. Real quick, I had to fly in the bush, okay, because I was working for Pitney Bowes, and so they got mail machines out there, these little native corporations. So my tech went out there first, and he looked at all the machines, and he gives you leads and say, okay, come fly up here. They got an old postage meter, old machine here, whatever. Dano, don't wear that blazer and those shoes. Get some Pendleton shirts and a goose down vest and some Timberlands and fly up here. And that's what I did, because I could have never sold those people looking like a city slicker. And so it's all about mirroring yourself.
I mean, I think so. I think the moral of the story is it's better to be overdressed than underdressed, but also mirror your customer and don't make anybody feel uncomfortable, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dano, man, listen, you've given me a lot of time today. Normally we go an hour, but I know you got to get your second shot. I know you got to go see mama for what, 84, 86? 86 birthday. God bless her in Vegas. Right. So thank you so much for coming in. Shout out to Bridget Bland, who couldn't be here today. She had a conflict. But Dano, thank you so much for stepping up to the plate. Dano, it's always so good to talk to you, man.
Man, I can't wait till this conference comes back and get a chance to see you guys again. For everybody out there, I appreciate you guys logging in, and it's on short notice, but it is what it is, and I appreciate it, Ben. All much respect. And let me tell you something: your future looks brighter than your past.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. You've always been so supportive, man. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me, man. Appreciate you.
Right on.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. Thank you for getting active in the comments. The show's always better when you are here with us. So thank you, everybody. Check us out tomorrow. We will be here at 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central, and we're going to keep it moving. Dano, take care, man. Safe travels.
Right on, brother.
Take care, bro.